Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be talking about the HP Spectre x360 Gem Cut Edition 15-inch model. Now, I reviewed this 4 months ago, and I've been using it every single day since then for very intense stuff, for 4K editing and things of that sort. And so, I really want to give you guys an updated review of this laptop. I had a lot of comments asking about how it's holding up, what I think about it now, and I figured, you know what, I'll just make a new video. A lot of people requested it. So this video is really going to be about three things. So the first is going to be what I really like about this laptop. So what I really think separates this laptop from a lot of other ones out there and why I recommend this to friends. The second one is going to be essentially what I don't like about this laptop or problems that persist that you definitely want to know about before buying this laptop. And then the third one is going to be anything that might seem significant initially, but you end up not using it at all, or at least I personally don't care about these specs, especially 4 months later. So with that in mind, let's get into this video. So before we get too far into this video, if you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, but you're interested in learning about the newest tech, make sure you go down and click the bell icon and the subscribe button. If you don't click the bell icon, YouTube will not notify you, and then you won't know about the newest tech. So starting off with a few of the things I like about this laptop, specifically externally. I'll talk about the internal components later, but one thing I really like is the keyboard. I think it has a really nice click. I'll try to show you guys right now, but essentially you can type on this and it has a very nice mechanical click without having too much travel. I think it's a very nice compromise between, the large mechanical keyboards that some people really like and the very flat, soft, almost dead keyboards that a lot of laptops seem to have. So this is a really nice responsive keyboard. In my opinion, it's very easy to type. I can type really fast on this, and also it has a very nice backlit, sort of 3 different settings, which ties into something that I thought would be really great, but I don't actually use. So I do like the backlighting on this a lot, don't get me wrong, but the 3 different backlit settings I don't really see a significant use for. So in my opinion, you have the very bright, the medium, and obviously off. So off makes perfect sense when it's really bright out and you don't care, you're not going to see the backlighting. And then the medium one makes sense when it's, kind of dark out and you want to, you're looking at your screen, maybe it's, late at night or something. You don't want a bright keyboard shining in your face and distracting from what the screen's showing. So that makes perfect sense why you'd have the dim setting. But then the bright setting, I don't know exactly when I would be using the bright keyboard setting. I think if it's bright enough out that I need the bright setting, I probably won't need, a backlit keyboard at all. And if it's really dark out where I'd want to see my keys, I want the dim lighting. So that's one that it's definitely not a complaint. It's really nice to have that, but I just personally have never used anything except the dim or the off settings for the backlit keyboard. Another mechanical thing I really like about this laptop, as I mentioned in my other video, is the mechanical switch for the webcam. I think this is an amazing thing that I'm surprised more people haven't included this in their laptops to, sort of tackle a problem that a lot of people have been seeing for a while, and that is the security of having a webcam that could potentially be on at any time. So I know they have the little lights next to it, which is nice, but a lot of people end up taping their webcams anyway. So you see, a little black piece of tape up there, or, a sticky note or something of that sort covering up the webcam. This laptop, I really like how there's a mechanical switch on there to actually turn it off and totally disable the webcam. Your laptop literally can't find the webcam because it doesn't exist because it's a mechanical disconnect. Moving along with some of the things mechanical of this laptop, one thing I don't like, and it definitely has proved to be a bit of a problem, is the fact that all of the ports to connect anything are going to be, right up in this top right corner. Now, of course, HDMI is over there, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about any kind of inputs for this laptop. They're all going to be right over here. So you have the 2 USB-Cs and then the USB-A, and they're all so close together that you end up having things like kind of dangling all over the place on this corner of the laptop. And sometimes if you're in a weird situation, like on an airplane or something, and you just, it's better to plug it in this side, you can't do that. So I do wish that, HP would have maybe at least one USB-C on the other side so you could, switch it around every now and then if you need to use the other side. That's definitely a drawback. But overall, I do like that they did include the USB-A. I know a lot of people only want USB-C because, that is, of course, the future, but I still have some things from the past that I don't want dongles for. It's really nice to have the USB-A on the side. So speaking of USB-C, I wanted to comment on something I said in my previous video where I sort of complained about the power block and said it was kind of large. And while it is a little bit bulky, I understand that it is required for the power output that you get out of that. But a lot of people also pointed out that you can actually charge by USB-C in the Thunderbolt port over here. So that's definitely a huge plus. I haven't really capitalized on that yet. Most of the time I do just suck it up and use my larger power block because it charges significantly faster than a USB-C could. So I definitely like the power block, even though, like I said, it's a little large. But you know, if you're traveling, you can always size down to a USB-C, as a lot of people pointed out to me. So speaking of power with this laptop, one thing I really like, and it is twofold here, is the battery. So the battery is lasting about 8 hours for me easily. You can make it last a little bit longer or significantly less long, of course. And that's the second thing that I really like about the battery and the power on this laptop. So it's really nice that you can very easily customize how much power you're using, what kind of performance you're getting out of the laptop. So you can optimize it. When you're doing something very heavy, you can optimize it so yes, you're using more battery, but you're able to use the full capacity of this laptop. Or when you're just sitting around browsing on the web, you can totally customize it so that your battery lasts way longer. And of course, you're not using all of the power inside this laptop, which you really don't need when you're just browsing the web. So 8 hours for me is definitely more than enough time for this laptop. Typically I'll use it throughout the day, and you know, I end up plugging in all the time, and when you plug it in, it charges so fast with the power block on the side that it really isn't a problem by any means, that I'm not running around looking for power all the time. I almost never see it on low battery. Talking about the lid of this laptop, one thing that I said I really liked before was the stiffness of the hinge of this laptop, so you can easily just kind of lift it up. The bottom of the laptop never lifts up. I think it's a general, you know, a good stiffness, although there is an issue that I did notice, and that's a little bit of a wobble. So if you have it like right there, you'll see that there is some wobble if you just kind of go like that. It's not something I really notice when I'm using the laptop like this. You kind of never notice the wobble because just the angle that it is. But if you look at it from the side, you can definitely see that, you know, if I'm hitting a table or something, it can wobble pretty significantly. That's definitely a drawback that you definitely, you know, you want to be aware of that before you buy this. Is it really going to affect your experience? Probably not, or at least it hasn't affected mine at all, but I really want you to be aware of that before you make this purchase. Now, along with that, something I really do like about this is the magnetic lid closure. So when you close it, there is a magnet right there. Not that it makes a huge difference, but I really do like, you know, it's just very satisfying to close it, very satisfying to open it. The screen on this laptop is 4K, as I said before, and it also has excellent color on here. So if you are doing any kind of color grading in Lightroom, or if you're using Premiere Pro, or, you know, Photoshop, whatever it is you're doing, it's great to have a high quality screen like this to really see, you know, what your footage or what your images look like when you're color grading them and editing them. So that's something I really, really like, is the screen on this laptop. It also has an excellent range of brightnesses, so that if it's really dim out, it's really dark out, you can dim this all the way down and it's not too bright, it doesn't hurt your eyes. Or if it's very bright out, you can also crank the brightness all the way up. Of course, it is a glossy screen, so you might have a glare, but the screen gets very bright and I can still work even in broad daylight. Now, I think it'd be foolish to talk about this laptop and not mention the aesthetics of it, because it has such a unique and sleek aesthetic as a flagship product for HP. So as you can see, it has the gem cut on the corners right there. That's why it's called the gem cut edition. And also it has, you know, sort of that gem cut feel all the way around the entire laptop, where it has the double chamfer on the hinges and on the bezel of the entire laptop. Like I said, it has the gold trim, and there are two different colors for this laptop. This one is the dark ash silver. There's also Poseidon blue. Both of them honestly look really good, so it doesn't matter which one you get. People are going to be complimenting this. This is something, when I take it places, a lot of people compliment the color and the aesthetic of this laptop, just because most laptops out there are just plain silver, like you might see with like the HP Envy. It looks a lot like a MacBook, and they all kind of look very, very similar with the color and just general aesthetic. This is something that looks very different and still, in my opinion, looks really good. Something else that I don't use that I thought would be a fun thing to have that I really don't care about actually is the tablet mode. So folding it back, I almost never do this. I really don't care to ever do that. Though, I mean, when I'm on my laptop, I'm using it like a laptop just because I can type faster with the keyboard, and so I never go into vertical mode, I never go into tablet mode. Maybe an artist or somebody else who maybe, I don't know, uses a laptop for anything other than what I do would use that more, but personally, I see no use for that. And along with that, the HP Spectre pen, I think it's really cool that it came with the Spectre pen, and I really like the pen, but honestly, it's something, again, that I'm not using. It kind of sits on my desk. Every now and then, if I have to like make a signature on a PDF, I'll sign it and I'll show people and say, look at that, look how good that signature was. I signed it with my pen. It came with my laptop, you know, and I get excited over that, but honestly, I really don't use it much. So along with customizing the battery of this laptop, you can also customize the fan settings in the HP settings. And I really like how this is great for if you're just doing basic work. You can go into HP recommended mode. Like right now, it's totally silent. You cannot hear my laptop at all, which is great for any, if I'm filming a video or almost any time I'm using the laptop. But then when I go to export a 4K video from Adobe Premiere Pro, I definitely want this cranking up a little bit higher, and you can go into performance mode. Or if it gets really kind of hot, if it's a really hot day out and it starts to get even a little bit warm, which honestly, it really kind of rarely gets warm, but if it gets a little bit warm, you can go and turn on the cool mode, and that lowers your CPU a little bit. It cranks your fans up, and within a few minutes, your laptop is right back to feeling as cool as it should. Unfortunately, when I first bought this, I thought the fingerprint sensor would be a really nice thing to have. I know my old HP Envy had a fingerprint sensor, and I used it all the time to sign in, and it was very fast and very effective. This one, unfortunately, is not nearly as fast or effective. I ended up swiping my finger or tapping my finger on there probably 5 or 6 times before I either sign in or it tells me I have to put my password in. So I really was hoping that would work a little bit better. There's room for improvement on HP's side for the fingerprint sensor, and yes, I did scan my finger multiple times in different ways to just add extra fingerprints or whatever, just to, so it would recognize my finger better than it originally did, but it's still not very good. It's still, honestly, a relatively poor fingerprint sensor. The interior components of this laptop are extremely fast, and I've had almost no problems with this. The only time I ever have any issues is maybe if I have Photoshop open and I'm trying to edit a 4K video in Premiere Pro, then it sort of starts to slow down a little bit, but even then it's really not bad. It just takes a little bit longer to render videos, so playthrough might be a little bit choppier just because it's not rendering smoothly as I play. But overall, I've been pushing this laptop a lot, and I haven't really seen any performance issues, although one little sort of drawback you want to be aware of is this has 2 different GPUs in it. So it has the internal, the Intel GPU, and then it has the NVIDIA GeForce GPU. If you want to know more about those, watch my previous video or just look up the specs. I'll list them down below, actually. So the reason that's a little bit of a drawback is some programs prefer one over the other. So if you do any kind of screen recording like OBS Studio, for example, you kind of have to use the internal one for that, otherwise you just get a black screen. So it took me a little while to figure out why OBS was being weird, and the reason was you have to actually open that program with the internal one. So when you right-click on a program, you can say open with graphics processor and choose. So that's just, it's not a bad thing, but it's just an extra step that you need to be aware of if you're using this laptop. A few more issues you want to be aware of. One of them, I think the speakers sound really good at low volumes. They have very nice clarity, really well balanced, and you can EQ them in HP EQ. That's just kind of an app they have on here. But something I don't like is when you really crank it up, you sort of get a buzz, a little bit of a vibration somewhere in there that doesn't quite sound right. Lastly, the only other complaint I have is that the internal components are soldered in. So if you're looking to upgrade the RAM or the GPU on this or anything like that, you're really not going to be able to. Everything's soldered onto the main board inside this computer. So it's pretty powerful as it is, but make sure that if you're buying this, it is what you use and you're not going to be trying to upgrade it, because you're going to have a really tough time trying to upgrade this if all the pins are soldered in place. So, guys, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this laptop. Who is this really good for? This laptop, in my opinion, would be great for anybody to use if they can afford it. It's a little bit more expensive than, your everyday laptop. It's a lot more expensive than a Chromebook. So if you're just doing everyday web browsing, you might want to check one of those other laptops out. But if you're somebody who wants to really push a laptop, or you just want something that's really nice looking and really fast, this is a great laptop. If you're an engineering student, if you're looking to do video editing, so you're any kind of, art student, this might be a great laptop to buy. In my opinion, I recommend it to every single engineering student that goes into a program, just because it's a lot faster than other laptops. And there's nothing worse than when you're a student and at the end of your freshman year, all of a sudden your laptop's slowing down, and it's only been a year since you bought it, and you see other people with a laptop like this one that's just powering through and easily crushing all of their homework. So, guys, that's what I have to say about this laptop. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to go down and like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of this laptop. Let me know if you'll be buying it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.